Welcome to the Learning Bridge. If you're watching this video, chances are you want to become a better writer. Maybe you are here to improve your writing skills, prepare for an entrance exam, or simply learn how to write more effectively. Or perhaps your goal is even bigger. You want to become a professional writer and build a career in writing. Whatever your reason, you are in the right place. In this video, we'll learn the essential concepts and a practical strategy every writer should know, whether you are writing for exams, for work, or for creative expression. So let's get started. If you dream of becoming a creative writer, there is one thing you need to understand. Every great fiction writer, regardless of their style or genre, has mastered one essential skill, and that is storytelling. Many people believe storytelling simply means writing stories, but it is much more than that. Storytelling is the ability to create an entire world from your imagination, build believable characters, evoke emotions, and make readers feel as though they are living inside your story. So before you begin writing fiction, let's first understand what actually a storytelling is, what is a fictional story, and what qualities every aspiring fiction writer should develop. Let's start by understanding what is storytelling. Storytelling is the art of presenting a story, an idea, an experience, or even a message in a way that captures people's attention and creates an emotional connection. Its purpose goes far beyond simply sharing information. A well-told story makes readers curious, it keeps them engaged, and most importantly, it makes them feel something. When readers become emotionally invested in a story, they don't just read it, they experience it. That's why they often remember it long after they've finished reading. And that is exactly why storytelling is one of the most important skills every creative writer should develop. Now, what is a fictional story? A fictional story is a story created entirely from the writer's imagination. Its characters, events, places, and situations are all invented by the writer. They don't have to be true or based on real life incidents. The purpose of fiction is not to present facts. Its purpose is to entertain, inspire, encourage readers to think or communicate a meaningful message through an imaginary narrative. For example, imagine a story about a girl who discovers a hidden kingdom beneath the ocean. The kingdom may not exist, the adventure may never have happened, but if the emotions feel genuine, and the story leaves readers with a meaningful message, it still creates a powerful impact. And that is the beauty of fiction. It doesn't have to be true to feel real. What does it take to become a fiction writer? Now the question is, what qualities should you develop if you want to become a fiction writer? Let's look at them one by one. Point number 1. A genuine interest in writing. The first and most important requirement is a genuine interest in writing. Without real interest, it's difficult to stay consistent. Writing is not a skill that can be mastered in a week or even a month. It takes patience, it takes practice, and above all, it requires continuous learning. So if you truly enjoy creating stories, you will naturally keep writing, experimenting, and improving over time. Because when the excitement of learning fades, passion is what keeps a writer going. The second essential quality is imagination. Every fictional story exists in the writer's mind before it even appears on the paper. Before readers meet your characters, you have already imagined them. Before they explore your world, you have already seen it. If you can't imagine characters, places, conversations, or situations, it becomes difficult to bring them to life for your readers. Imagination gives you the freedom to create worlds that don't exist. and characters who still feel completely real. In many ways, imagination is the foundation of every great fictional story. Third quality: learn to be descriptive. Now, one of the biggest mistakes beginners make is writing only the information instead of creating an experience. For example, imagine you write, "She entered the room and sat on the chair." There is nothing wrong with that sentence, but it doesn't help the reader visualize anything. Now, read this. "She quietly walked into the room, pulled the chair closer to the window, and sat down. A cool breeze drifted through the curtains as she took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of thoughts in her mind." Notice the difference. In the first sentence, you are simply telling the reader what happened. In the second, you are helping the reader see the scene, feel the atmosphere, and understand the character's emotional state. That's descriptive writing. Being descriptive doesn't mean making your sentences unnecessarily long. It means choosing details that help readers imagine the scene more clearly. A good description appeals to the senses, like what does the character see, what do they hear, what do they smell, what do they touch, how do they feel. So when readers can imagine these details, your story starts coming alive. Fourth point: build an emotional connection. A story without emotion is just a sequence of events. Readers don't remember stories because of what happened. They remember stories because of how those stories made them feel. If your character is heartbroken, don't simply write, "He was sad." Instead, show the sadness. Maybe he keeps staring at an old photograph. Maybe he starts making coffee for two people before remembering that he's now alone. These small actions express emotions far more powerfully than simply naming them. As a writer, your job is not just to tell readers what your characters feel. Your job is to help readers feel those emotions themselves. That's where emotional connection is created. Let me explain a very common mistake that every beginner fiction writer makes. Don't overwrite your story. When people hear that fiction should be descriptive and emotional, they often misunderstand what that actually means. They think the more emotional my writing is, the better my story will become. Or if I use beautiful poetic words everywhere, my writing will automatically sound professional. But that's not how fiction works. There is a huge difference between beautiful writing and overwritten writing. There's also a difference between expressing emotions and forcing emotions. And there is a difference between being descriptive and over describing everything. Let me explain. Imagine your character has just lost someone they deeply loved. A beginner might write like this something. Her heart shattered into a million pieces. Endless darkness swallowed her soul, and every breath felt heavier than the weight of the universe. Now, is this wrong? Not at all. In fact, if you're writing poetry or a piece of lyrical prose, this kind of language can sound beautiful because poetry naturally relies on metaphors, symbolism, and emotional intensity. But in fiction writing, if every emotional moment is written like this, readers slowly stop believing the emotions. Instead of feeling the character's pain, they start noticing the writer trying too hard to make the scene emotional. Now compare it with this. He reached for his favorite mug without thinking. Halfway to the shelf, he stopped. It had been months, but his hands still remembered her. Notice how simple those words are. There is no dramatic vocabulary, no exaggerated metaphors. And yet, the emotion feels much stronger. Why? Because the writer is not telling you how much the character is suffering. The writer is showing it through a small, ordinary action. And that's what great fiction does. It trusts the writer to, it trusts the reader to feel the emotion instead of forcing the emotion onto them. The same rule applies to descriptions. Being descriptive doesn't mean describing every single object in the room. Readers don't need to know the exact color, shape, texture, and history of every chair, table, or curtain. Describe only the details that help readers imagine the scene or understand the character better. Always ask yourself, does this description move the story forward? Does it reveal something about the character or the mood? If the answer is no, it's probably unnecessary. So remember this, don't decorate every sentence, decorate only the moments that deserve attention. Because the strongest fiction isn't the one with the fanciest vocabulary, it's the one that feels the most authentic. Sometimes the simplest sentence leaves the deepest emotional impact. Because your goal as a fiction writer is not to prove how beautifully you can write. Your goal is to make readers forget they are reading and make them feel as if they are living inside your story. Now it's the time when we talk about one of the biggest myths in creative writing. Many aspiring writers ask this question: are great writers born with natural talent, or can anyone become a fiction writer through practice? Honestly, I don't believe that great writers are simply born. What people call natural talent is usually natural interest. Some people fall in love with stories at a very young age, others discover that passion much later in life. But passion alone doesn't make someone a great writer, okay? Practice does. Think about it. No one is born knowing how to build compelling characters, write emotional scenes, or create engaging plots. These are skills. And like any other skill, they improve with consistent practice. So if you've ever thought, maybe I'm not just talented enough to become a writer, stop thinking that way. Instead, ask yourself, am I willing to practice consistently? Because that's the question that really matters. If you genuinely enjoy writing, then you already have the most important quality: a reason to keep improving. The rest comes with time, obviously. Here comes the most interesting part: a practical strategy or an exercise to improve your creative writing. Now that we have talked about the qualities of a good fiction writer, let's move on to something practical. Many people ask, how can I actually improve my storytelling? The answer is simple. The best way to improve storytelling is by telling stories. But before we get to the exercise, there's one important thing. You should work on your grammar and vocabulary every single day. Now, I'm not saying you to spend hours memorizing grammar rules or learning 50 new words daily. That's unnecessary. Instead, dedicate a small portion of your daily study time to grammar and vocabulary. Even 20 to 30 minutes of focused practice is enough, as long as you are consistent. Why? Because grammar helps you build clear and correct sentences, while vocabulary, it gives you the right words to express your ideas, emotions, and descriptions. Without grammar, your ideas become confusing, and without vocabulary, your imagination stays trapped inside your mind because you don't have the words to express it. Remember that you don't have to learn something new every day. Sometimes revising and strengthening what you have already learned is far more valuable than constantly collecting new information. Now let's talk about the storytelling exercise. Choose any one thing as your starting point. It could be an everyday object like a key, a watch, or a coffee mug, a photograph, a scene from your life, from your real life, a YouTube video, a song, a newspaper headline, or a conversation you recently overheard. anything can become the beginning of a story. Now, don't start writing immediately. First, become curious. Ask yourself questions. If you have chosen an object, ask, who owns this object? Where did it come from? Why is it important? Does it remind someone of a memory? What secret could it be hiding? If you've chosen a real life event or a video, then ask, what happened before this moment? What happened after it? What if one small detail had been different? How would the story change? Questions are what transform ordinary ideas into extraordinary stories. Now, describe before you narrate. Before writing the story, spend a few minutes simply observing and describing. If it's an object, write about its appearance, color, texture, size, condition, how it feels when someone holds it, any smell, sound, or unique detail you notice. The goal is not to write long paragraphs. The goal is to notice details that most people ignore. Yes, great storytellers are great observers. Now build the story. Once you have observed and described everything, begin creating your story. Ask yourself, who is the main character? What do they want? What's stopping them from getting it? What changes by the end of the story? Now, you don't need to write a masterpiece. Even a story of 200 to 300 words is enough. The purpose of this exercise is not to write a perfect story. It is to train your imagination, observation, description, and emotional expression all at the same time. The more consistently you practice this exercise, the easier storytelling will become. And one day, you will realize that your mind naturally starts finding stories in the most ordinary things around you. That's when you will know you are beginning to think like a fiction writer.